So Cap, I'm hoping that it's just. Is this a normal visit to the vet that you're having to take this morning?
It's become a little bit more normal for us because of some ear infections, but
Uh-oh.
yeah,
Uh-oh.
poor pup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, those things. You're sitting there and you're just scratching and scratching and scratching. You're rubbing your ear on the floor, and then everyone's looking at you like, "Come on," and
Yeah,
you
and then you've
just
got the dog doing it too. So it's
exactly that is exact. See, you sit there, you're reading my notes. It's like you're looking at the cue cards, man. That's well done. Uh,
yeah.
let's get our mogul update. How are things with Rhode Island FC?
Um, they're
Oh, uh-oh.
they're going. Hey, we ran into a good team on last weekend. We played Phoenix at home, defending champions, and we didn't play poorly, but they outclassed us at certain points. They're a very good team, much more experienced than we are as a group. And so, we learned a couple lessons here and there. That said, we missed a penalty kick. We had some opportunities. It was there. It was still promising, but we're not at that level yet, and that's fine to say that. So we go down to North Carolina this weekend and play NCFC, and so yeah, good challenge for us. Obviously, a conference game. So things are moving right along.
I was going to say, so what have you been learning about the franchise idea from day one and all of the growing pains that are associated with it? Are you getting lessons as we go here, even though we're only a couple of matches into the season?
Yeah, on and off the field, and you have to learn, right? I'm sure even the folks at Atlanta United, even though everything was going great year one, right? You're just living and learning. You don't really know what to expect all the time in certain situations. So, there's definitely a lot to grow there within the team on and off the field. And so that's what we're trying to do. Learn every week about who our fans are, where they're coming from, what they want to see, learn on the field of, formations and players and, the roster itself in general. So, lots of lessons.
When it comes to mentoring and you and Greg doing what you're doing at Beyond Goals, now we discuss from time to time what you and Greg are learning as as mentors. When mentees come to you, is it out of frustration of not knowing where to go with a certain pathway? It's like, okay, I think I'm doing things well, but then I'll hit a brick wall. I don't know where to go from this particular point. Is it reaffirmation of the path that they're taking? I guess, is there a percentage of how much of this is reinforcement and how much of this is absolute learning from mentees? From the feedback that you get, do you have any idea as to what those percentages are coming into a situation with the groups that you're able to handle?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say that the biggest thing that we see from mentees coming to us is um, a lack of consistency and dealing with bigger games and pressure and not playing as well in those moments and being nervous and how to deal with that. I think that was probably a good, I don't know, 30 to 40% of mentees coming to us. That's what they're looking for. A lot lately have been pathways as far as college, right? Is the outreach correct? Am I shooting too high? Am I shooting too low? Should I be looking at D2 or D3 or, what levels of D1 and how to approach those conversations? And, so we getting a lot of that right now, which has been awesome. So yeah, definitely a mixed bag, and which is exciting for us because then it's not the same conversation over and over.
Well, and so because the landscape is as big as it is these days, and you mentioned it, it's NAIA, D3, D2, Group of Five, Power Five. Do I go overseas? Do I do these kinds of things? I mean, it's and to be able to take it on a case by case basis. Obviously, it's challenging and fulfilling, I would imagine, for you and Greg to have all of these different angles to be able to discuss. And the pathways are far larger than they were when I know when I was younger, back in the days of the 1870s when the sport was just starting. And for you, you had a couple of different ideas. How do you gauge pathway and proper place, and maybe you should do this instead of this or go here instead of here with all of these different pathways that are available? Because like I said, we just mentioned college, NAIA, D3, D2, so 5 different pathways at least when it comes to college. Then there's overseas, then there's possibly going to someplace in between. How do you navigate the idea of, okay, well, maybe this person should go here and this person should go here? I mean, that's an interesting challenge that you and Greg have to tackle too.
Yeah, totally. And obviously it's all individualized, right? It's like what works for one isn't necessarily going to work for another. And yeah, it's a balance. And I think that what goes into it, a few things are, one, obviously talent level and where is this player. But aside from that, it's maturization, right? How mature are they for their age? Are they ready to take that next step and go there? Will they have success if they do, on and off the field, just maturity wise? The support system, what kind of support system do they have? And is it a supportive system, or is it this is what mom and dad wants and the kid's kind of going along with it, type system? So balancing those types of things kind of helps me give my best guidance as to what I think will be most successful for the players. And hey, there's a lot of what we try and tell them is, if it's going to work out, it's going to work out, right? It's like you can choose this pathway or that pathway, and that doesn't mean it's set in stone, and that doesn't mean that you're bound for a certain end point, right? That end point is still moving, and it's still up to you and what you do along that pathway, right? We always use examples of Chris Wondolowski, Justin Miram. Obviously now that there's kids turning pro at a really young age. Now there's guys going to USL and then going to MLS. So there's just so many different ways to get to the same place in the end. But even lower than that, right? It's just finding the right fit. I've talked to a few players who are currently in college and aren't at good places for them individually, because they're not enjoying it. They don't like the system that the coach is asking them to play, and it doesn't fit how they want to play, and they're not really enjoying it, so they want to move. And so there's just a lot that goes into these decisions. It's not what's the highest level possible that I could play at, right? It's what's the good fit for you as an individual.
How do those conversations go involving fit, where you might have an individual who isn't the happiest soul, and they're like, I really do think I need to have a change? How diplomatic do those players have to be, or those student athletes have to be? It's like, because it's like a breakup almost at times. It's like, it's just, it's an uncomfortable thing that you've got to experience and go through. How do you, as a mentor, tell your mentees about breakups? Because that's an uncomfortable topic, I would think.
It is, and it depends on how long they've been there, right? Because obviously, if it's not going well after 2 weeks or even 2 months, we say, hey, give it time, work your way in there, fight for your spot, that type of thing. I was in that situation in Germany, right? When I got there, the coach, I could tell, was not a fan of me, but, hey, I'm going to fight for my spot. I'm going to really work at it. And, then after 6 months, then I knew, okay, this is not happening for me here. So I needed to move on for my career. So that's the kind of the question there is like, okay, what's the situation? Why do you want to move? Is it something that's within your control? Can you help out? Because the grass isn't always greener. We've seen that before with players moving on. It doesn't always work out just because you move on. So yeah, again, it's delicate balances, and it's kind of assessing the situation that they're going through.
How much of learning? I mean, you've dealt with, obviously, you mentioned Germany, so you've dealt with breakups before. Is it any different today with today's athlete / student athlete when it comes to to how you handle things? Do coaches, in your observation, do they want you to be direct about it? Do they want it's like, look, I need you to be upfront with me as soon as possible so we both can make a decision that's best for us? Or is it, one of those where you've got to learn how to be diplomatic about it, but be direct? It seems like there are buttons that you've got to push in here, but I don't know how coaches these days respond versus, the days when we were growing up where it's like militaristic and, you will do this and you'll suck it up and these kinds of things. How different are coaches to listening these days? Well, there was a reason you were brought in here in the first place and you have to adapt to this, versus, okay, there was a reason you were brought in. This isn't working out. It just seems like is the vibe any different from when you were dealing with things, say, in Germany, maybe?
Yeah, I think in general, this younger generation of coaches are more open to conversations, dialogue, people management.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of coaching a team nowadays, especially at the higher level. I mean, every level, honestly, is man management, right? Person management. It's so important. And these conversations go into it. That said, especially as a younger player, if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a young pro, like sometimes coaches do things to test, right? And see how resilient are you? What's your attitude when you are on the bench or things aren't going your way? Or, yeah, I do get into you at practice in front of the group, right? What's the response, right? Because coaches know, like, in games, you're going to be in tough spots. You're going to be tested. You're going to, hit a wall. You're going to lose a one-on-one. You're going to get embarrassed at some point. You're going to make a huge mistake, right? And what's the response going to be? So, I think that there is that will always be there, because that's part of sports is that reaction to failure, because failure happens just so often within sports. And that's an important part of it. It really is that reaction. And what type of person are you to show up against that, those moments of resiliency? Even if the coach is a good man management, I think that that's still an important aspect of things.
How many of your mentees, or even just not even your mentees, but how many folks do you and Greg see in your orbit that still might have to learn that lesson these days about being resilient? Because they might have had everything might have been easy to a point. But I think that sometimes it might get lost on a student or a student athlete that, okay, you were great at that level. I mean, you might have been great at U13 or U14, but you get to U16 and now you're just a part of the pile. Mm-hmm. You get to U16, you're great. All of a sudden you go to U17, U18, and then once again, you're a part of the pile all over again. You're fantastic in high school. You get selected to go to Wake Forest, and you get to go to Wake, and you get to do things in the ACC, but then you realize, I'm back in the pile again. How much realization is there with your mentees? It's like, I'm fantastic, everything's fine, I got nothing to worry about, and then there's that realization of like, I'm one of a group all over again. How many folks do you have to sit there and go, dude, you're part of a group, you got to prove yourself all over again, with this next stage in your career?
Yeah, most. And that doesn't surprise me, because, I'll give you an example from my career in a second, and that's why we try and encourage that we are not just resources for people that are struggling, right? We are also resources for those who are on top of things, because those players have not struggled yet, but it's coming, right? Because it will come to everyone at some point in their career. And it's very important that these younger, especially high-level players who have been at the top and then turn pro are all of a sudden challenged in a way and at the very bottom of the totem pole for the first time. And how do you deal with it? Right? How do you deal with playing with the second team, or being on the bench for the first team, or playing games for the second team? Or, you're just not in the spotlight, and guys don't care that you've got the newest Nike cleat or whatever you're driving or any of that stuff, right? It doesn't matter. And, that's what we try and prevent. And that's where I think sometimes, even at Atlanta United, and we work with their academy, that we've got players that say, and families, we don't need you. We don't need you. We're good. And that's the way it is. And it's not just obviously Atlanta United, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't want to be viewed as, hey, if you're going to talk to Greg and Parker, you've got a problem. Like, no, that's not the case. We're trying to help open the eyes to things that might come down the road. Because the example from my career is, I had great success at Wake as a center back. Then I turned pro and I had great success as a pro in New England, 4 years starting as a center back. Then I went over to Europe, and a few months in, coach wanted me to play outside back, and I fought it. And I was like, no, I'm a center back. I want to prove myself as a center back. So I kind of half-assed it, and it didn't work out, obviously, as an outside back at that point. It moved me back to center back. I was in and out of the lineup. I still had some success in things and played, but I wasn't at the very top. And then we had a coaching change. The coach said, hey, I think you should play outside back for us. And I was like, all right, you know what, I'll do it. And I loved it. And, we win the league. I play 6 games in Champions League at outside back. It brings me back to the national team. Like, some of my most successful years were at outside back. And I look back and think, man, I wasted 6 months. And, that was a maturity thing. And I was not young, right? I was not young at this point. I was 25, so it's like, how can you expect every 15-year-old to be able to deal with adversity?
And I find it, obviously, looking in the rearview mirror, we gain knowledge, but I find it interesting that you it's like you owned it, you own up to it. Yep, I half-assed it. And how many athletes outside of mentoring, but how many athletes have that realization and sit there and they might, come up to you either in conversation or what have you. Yeah, I half-assed it. I should have done better in a particular situation. How many of them have that realization and still will come back to you for guidance and or advice, after having a realization? It's like, yeah, I know I messed this up, and so now I've got to rebuild things. Do you get anybody that comes back after understanding that they made a mistake?
Not too many yet. Although there are some that don't admit to half-assing it, but we have conversations about playing different positions and what's the reaction to when coach puts you in a different position and asks you to do things, and we can get the sense of what's going on, right? And we talk about, like Alex is saying, Gressel's pathway, right? He's played all over the field, striker in college, and winger and center midfielder and outside back. And it's like, people view it as, do I need to be a specialist in one position? Is that more important, or is the versatility more important? And I will always say versatility, because you never know where you're going to play. It just, people change positions all the time, even at the highest level. We've got Weah on our national team playing outside back. He's a winger, right? It's just, you need to have the versatility, and the younger you can have it, the better.
Now, I was going to say, because when you're in a national team situation, you only have a fixed number of roster spots for a competition. And the more versatile you can be, the more you can help out in a pinch. It's like, dude, I need you to play left back today because somebody's injured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can do that. You raise your hand, you sit there, and it's like, yep, I can do that. I'm in. Being versatile, lends itself to those opportunities that you might not have either way. If you're just thinking about things in a straight line, if you work out in 3 dimensions, you might get tapped a little sooner than otherwise for someone that just has the pathway that's like this when it comes to their thought pattern.
Totally.
You and Weah, it's just like bang, 3 dimensions, how it goes. Kevin Sullivan, since you mentioned youth, how young do you think is too young to sign a massive kind of a contract? I mean, I know that things are different with athletes and student athletes today, but every time I see somebody signing a contract at 13 or 14, I just have a Freddie Adu flashback, just kind of drifts this black cloud over me without any really credible evidence. But I mean, dude signs a contract at 14. He's going to be going to Manchester City when he turns 18. If things continue to work their way out, it might end up being a financial windfall for a rival club for you in the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer. How young do you think is too young to have attention heaped upon you like this?
It's a tough question. John, because whether he signs a contract now or not, there's still so much attention just because he's on youth national teams, and these MLS next games are televised now, and there's just so much scouting at this younger age, right? So he was bound to get this attention. Shoot, I've heard of him for over a year now, right? And I'm not watching a ton of youth games, but yeah, he was going to get that attention no matter what. I think what's most important is from learning from the Freddie Adu situation is after you sign, right? What is the approach from the club? What's the approach from the family? Like still treating him like a 14-year-old, and, responsibilities and youngest guy around, and hey, you're not king of the castle. Right. Freddie Adu was king of the castle at 14, right? Even the way that MLS treated him and what he had to do and the appearances and all this stuff was heaped upon him. And so I think it's different now, where, you can hopefully still be a 14-year-old in some ways, and not expected to carry the torch or play a significant role right now, and just grow and enjoy and still love soccer.
What are the ages of your youngest mentees these days with you and Greg?
The youngest, well, I've talked to an 8 or 9-year-old before, but I think that's too young, just to have conversations and sit there and attention span and stuff. 10 or 11 is kind of the youngest that can actually sit there and get things and ask questions, and some of the video stuff they enjoy. So that's on the young side.
Do you end up doing more videos the younger the individuals are because of how they might, because of, the PS2, PS3, PS4 generations, or they're used to playing games and interacting and these kinds of things? Are you finding that you and Greg are doing more video the younger that you get, or is that just a staple across the board?
No, I definitely trying to keep it more interactive and video and pictures and charts and just, keeping it moving faster with the little, smaller kids, just because the attention span. Shoot, I've got a 12-year-old. I get it. I can't imagine sitting in front of a computer talking to somebody for 30 minutes straight with them just like this, right? Without any, hey, let me show you this diagram. Let me show you this little video type thing.
Do you ever use the family Parkhurst or the family Garza as as like your test pattern? It's like, well, let's try that. Let's try it out on them and see if it works. Or do they give you feedback when it comes to, no, Dad, that's not how we do things. That's not how we consume things. Do you get advice, or do you use them as part of your test pattern as to what may or may not work?
The only thing that I use them for, John, is an example of kids don't listen to their parents, so let me help you with your children. Because my kids could definitely use some of the things that we talk about. But they either think I'm full of you-know-what, or they just don't want to hear it from Dad. So, no, John, I don't ask them for feedback because it's in one ear, out the other with those two.
So then if Greg gave them advice,
yeah,
it would be welcomed in incoming, as opposed to you get, well, I could see Greg, well, your dad, and then they just kind of, it's like, I don't want to hear it, but if Greg just comes storming in, it's just like, no, this is how things be. Well, I listened to Greg and he said this, and and all this, and it works, and you said, that was the plan all along. You use that kind of outside influence with a wink and a nod. It's like, Greg, I need you to do this.
Exactly.
Find a way that they can actually clean up their rooms and be nice to people. So if you say this way, I see this. So you get to influence the Garza family, and Greg gets to influence the Parkhurst family. I see how this is working. This is a fantastic idea for parents. Find a close friend who's in the same situation as you. Have them say what you really want said. And then that way the message gets put in. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do anyway. Yeah, that's what I want you to do anyway. That's how this goes.
Trade your kids.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Abby, trade your kids.
Let me get some TAM money here.
It's like you get some student allocation money, so it's Sam. I'm just saying.
I like that.
All right, so a Friday free kick with Michael Parkhurst before he goes to the vet, so he stops scratching his ear, and we find out what's actually going on inside. Most importantly, the question this morning: what's in the mug, and what is the mug, sir?
Oh, the mug is a Father's Day or birthday. It's obviously quite old because it's got picture of me and my wife. That's really old, and then the dog, and then my kids.
Okay, so are you properly hydrating, or is there like daddy water in there?
Daddy water. It's a little early for daddy water. Tea. Always tea in the morning for me.
Okay. Yep. That way you get to open up the vocal cords and everything and see what's going on. When it comes to the next couple of minutes, obviously, let's talk about the jersey that you're wearing there, which I love this line, by the way. I love the Resurgence line. It's very, very sweet. When it comes to finishing chances and being clinical, when you've been in these situations in the past where the club that you're with, you're dealing with a bunch of different external things, you're dealing with injuries and rotation because of injuries and trying to get the relationships to work, how difficult is it to navigate these kinds of situations where key pieces are out, and if it's not a key piece, it's a piece that's needed for the jigsaw puzzle to fit? How difficult is chemistry when you're having to juggle injuries and all of these external factors when you know what your starting 11 you'd love for it to be, but it's not? How difficult is it to juggle chemistry in situations like this?
Yeah, it can be challenging, but guys are so used to that, right? It's just part of the game, right? We've all played at different places, and lineups are always changing, whether it's coach's decision or injuries or absences, whatever it might be. So in that regard, there's no excuses for that. But finishing in general, even if you've got your top lineup, is something that comes and goes. Obviously when you have, somebody like Gigi or somebody that's very, very good, they get paid a lot because they're more consistently putting the ball in the net. But even for them, right, even Joseph back in the day, you'd have small moments, right, game to games where it just doesn't happen. Most importantly, are you still creating chances, right? That's the biggest thing, because they'll eventually fall. And you just hope over the course of a season it kind of levels itself out with that XG. Kind of, are you hitting it, or are you way below or way above some years? Yeah, I just got distracted by Dell's comment.
Wow, that's what happens when the battery are in the barn. That's how this goes.
So yeah, you just hope like, hey, now hopefully Gigi's back this weekend, and things fall back into place. But yeah, I need to pile up some wins here.
And at the same time, with the injuries at the back, it's a chance for the younger players that have come through the academy to find their spot and reinforce that they're here to stay. Noah Cobb and then Ephraim Morales last week in Chicago as well. The system as it is, it's continuing to roll through. It's center back you.
Yeah, I love it. And, I speak with Noah quite regularly, and he's been doing great. So I'm super happy for him. I've always liked Ephraim. I actually was going to try and get him up to Rhode Island if things didn't work out at Atlanta United, because I thought highly of him. So I was thrilled for him to step in there and have a good game. So yeah, that's great. The experience for those guys at this young age is going to be really, really pay dividends over time. So it's really nice, especially when you're not scoring goals, right? There becomes a little bit more pressure on the back line to, hey, if we're struggling to score goals, then we need to be really tight, really clean, right? No mistakes. We got to really shore up things, and that can put a lot of pressure on a back line, especially younger players. So, great that they're stepping up.
All right. What's the latest at BG Mentoring on the Twitters?
Well, we are going to really strap into getting a video content library up and running. So we've got some help now from some marketing people who are parents of mentee who are graciously helping us out. And so, we're really focused in on trying to provide something for not only a different price point, but also for people with kids that don't want to sit in front of a computer and talk to somebody who might be too shy or anxious or whatever. So just having other options out there. So really trying to put something together that's available. So that's a big one. And then obviously talking to a lot of kids right now playing in big games. You're talking about high school finals, Final Fours and stuff. So we've got a few of those kids that are playing in these games, and got showcases coming up here at the end of the year, into the school year, that is. And so, yeah, some big tournaments and games and showcases coming up. So trying to help kids get prepared for those.
And Abby's like Open Cup on Tuesday thoughts. Just don't mention Charlotte Independence to Michael Parkhurst.
Yeah, it would have worked out crazy if Rhode Island won. We would have played Atlanta, which would have been cool.
That would.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully Atlanta can get the job done there and continue to move on, because, yeah, it's a fun tournament. I'm sure that there'll be heavy rotation for this game, trying to get the job done. I'm assuming they're playing over at the college there.
Yeah, they're playing over at Kennesaw. The fourth has held up the board. We're +2 on the added time. Get out of here, go to the vet, and hopefully they can cure what's wrong with your ear.
Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
All right, be good. Michael Parkhurst hanging out with us as he always does.